Hello my dear students, welcome back to the class once again. We'll discuss the last topic, that is the consequences of the revolt to 1857. What happened after the revolt to 1857? So as you know that revolt was completely brought to an end, and then after that the British Crown and the British Parliament took some important decisions. The first important decision was taken through the Act of 1858, which was passed in the Parliament on August 2nd August 1858, which brought the company's rule to an end. The company's rule came to an end, and company now passed into the hands of the British Crown. Now India was passed into the hands of the British Crown. The Queen will be the one who will look after the country India. So end of company's rule. The company's rule finally came to an end. Okay, to the Act of 1858, which was passed in the British Parliament. Okay, now India was to be governed directly by and in the name of the Majesty. Directly by and in the name of the Majesty. So how will the administration look like? End of company's rule, the company directly passed into the hands of British Crown, that we know it. Now administrative changes were brought. Now the Queen was to run the administration of the country India with the help of cabinet ministers of a British Parliament, and which was known as Secretary of State of India. One of the most important cabinet minister of the British Parliament, known as the Secretary of State of India. Secretary of the State of India. So through or with the help of Secretary of State of India, the Queen will look after the administration of, Queen will administer the country India. Okay, and the Secretary of State of India will assume the powers which formerly was with the board of directors. That means that was with the court of directors of the company. The court of directors of the company who enjoyed those powers earlier, now those powers were vested on whom? With the Secretary of State of India. This is the term, Secretary of State of India. Okay, and this Secretary of State of India was to be assisted by the council of 15 members. Definitely you have to please be careful, you need to understand it. Secretary of State of India was to be advised by a 15-member council. How many members? 15. 15 members. Okay, 15 members. And out of these 15 members, 9 members at least should have resided in this country for at least 10 years. 9 members out of 15 members, okay, they must have resided in India or served in India for at least how many years? 10 years. So they were to be made as the member of the council who was to assist the Secretary of State of India. Right? I hope you understood this part. Okay. Now the last one, two things we discuss over here. Number 1, and now next one we are going to discuss is number 2. Governor General was now given the title of a Viceroy. Post is same. Post and position is same. Just the title of the designation is changed. Before I was known as the governor, now I will be known as a Viceroy. Only that changes. Okay. So the Governor General was given the new title of a Viceroy. So a very important question. Who was the last Governor General of India? And the next question. Who was the first Viceroy of India? Answer is very, very simple. Lord Canning was the last Governor General as well as the first Viceroy of India. Lord Canning. Okay. So Lord Canning was the first Viceroy as well as the last Governor General of India. Okay, this is all about the administrative changes taking place in the country. Okay, administrative changes taking place in the country. Got it? So, now next one, Queen Victoria's Proclamation. Queen Victoria's Proclamation. Just I'm writing the. So the next one, after the administrative changes been made, now we'll discuss about the Queen Victoria's Proclamation. So definitely you understood who was the Queen at that time? Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria was the Queen of England that time. So she made certain promises because she was very much clear that the revolt took place due to the frustration of the people of India, which was the result of the atrocities been committed by the East India Company. If company could have understood their problems and grievances, then this revolt could not have taken place. So, in order to rule India for a longer period, the Queen came up with certain promises. Like, Queen decided that as per the Queen Proclamation, doctrine of lapse was banned. No more annexation. Doctrine of lapse was completely abolished. No more annexation of new lands. Okay. Number two, that means they won't now interfere in the religious and social life of the people of India. Earlier they tried to bring certain changes in the social life, the religious life. That is why the people were frustrated. So that point also was taken by Queen. So they decided now onward they were not going to interfere in the social as well as religious life of the people of India. Now the third one, they even decided that the educated Indians will get jobs in the British administration. Educated Indians will get jobs in the British administration, and that will be possible only after passing the ICS examination, Indian Civil Service examination. Possibility was there. Opportunity now was given to the educated Indians also. That first of all you have to write the ICS examination, and that time ICS examination was held in London. So those who were interested, they can go sit, write the exams. If you pass, you'll get the job. Promise was made. Then whatever treaties were signed with the company, that means some of the rulers, they had signed a treaty with the East India Company, will remain as it is, will be respected. The treaties which were signed between the rulers and the company will be respected, and it will be as it is. That was also finalized. Then they also decided that they will reduce the military expenditure, and they will try to improve agriculture sector. They will promote agricultural sector also. They will try to promote agriculture sector by providing them irrigation facilities and all. Okay. And taxes will be reduced. They will not interfere in a social life, religious life. Okay. And one thing was clear, that those who were found guilty of murdering the English officers, or those who were found guilty of killing the British officers, will be punished. Rest all for minor revolts and all will be freed. That will be given. That means Queen will pardon them. General pardon will be granted to the mutineers. They will be given pardon. But those who were found guilty of killing any of the English officers will be punished. Okay. So this is all about the Queen Proclamation. Promises she did with formal, in what you call it, act, Queen Proclamation, but not even a single promises were fulfilled. They did not. It was just to please the revolt. mutinous, to keep them silent. But in actual practice, the main motive was to rule India for a longer period by appeasing and coming up with false promises for the Indians. Okay, that was the result of the report 1857. Now, one more important result was that important changes which was brought was the reorganization of the army. So when we discuss about the strength, it was found that the number of soldiers as compared to Indians were very less, like 40,000. Okay, 40,000 British soldiers were there, whereas Indian sepoys were more than 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs Indian soldiers. So that also was the great blunder done during that time. Power was given in the hand of the Indian soldiers. That is why army was completely reorganized. Okay, and all the important sections like artillery was kept in the hands of the British. All the important posts in the army were reserved for the British, like before. Indian soldiers belonging to different caste, class and religion was mixed up. All were mixed. It doesn't mean that only one caste or religion. So there can be a unity again, groupism. Okay, so in order to avoid that, this type of steps were taken. Army was completely reorganized, and more and more European soldiers were recruited as compared to the Indian soldiers. Another point is, side by side they made a promise, but on the other hand there was a fear that the people, Hindu and Muslim, they may unite again. So, policy of divide and rule. Sometimes they favored with the Muslims, sometimes they favored the Hindus, and this way created a gulf between the Hindus and the Muslims. So the seed of division which they sowed in the minds and hearts of the Indians in 1858, the result was seen in 1947 when a new state of Pakistan was created. So this is all about the revolt of 1857. So children, this is the end of this chapter. We have come to the end of this topic, the revolt of 1857. So children, hope you people understood the chapter. Hope we'll meet again in next class. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.